Welcome back, everybody. Just Mike here. Today we have another cuckoo clock to work on. Can you imagine that? Anyway, let's take a look at it. So this is the clock, but in amongst tangled up in the chain, I got a, what is this, 24 karat gold, is that a necklace? How cool is that? Anyway, this clock is coming in parts. I don't have the weights for it. And it does need a little bit of gluing besides. This here is falling off, so I got to figure out if it just needs glued up there, just what it needs. It has a guy that chops the wood, and he's not quite on the peg, and it has a water wheel here, and it's got the dancers and the cuckoo bird, and I had to put the chains back on the music. Let's see which one of these is a cuckoo bird, if there is one, or else he's just stuck open in there. Okay, we'll try the music. I can't get any of them to go at the moment. Let's see if there's something wrong inside. So there's the gong. So I don't know what's catching. Oh, I know. The man is not chopping the way they want it to, I guess. Maybe. And let's see if we can get the music going. So anyway, I would say that for sure this needs to be cleaned. Just what little I can get the cuckoo part, there we go, is the music that I guess is getting them to stick. I don't think it'll go again, yeah? So let's take this thing apart. I'll go ahead and release the cuckoo bird. I'll take the hands off, then we can get the movement out. And of course, because I have chain now, I'll go ahead and get these hooks and the rings taken off the clock. It's got the nut, and it has a washer sitting on top. No, it's got to be a washer. It's not. Must be the type that's pressed through the hand. And of course this just comes right off because this here is wedged, and it just, we'll call it pressure fitted by you pushing down on it. And for the bird, let's see if we can get the screwdriver to give that a twist. That looks like some pretty heavy wire there. And now we're going to take the bellows out. I'm a little bit worried. Oh, that one's okay. I think we're good. I was going to say I'm a little bit worried that these are glued in. But the bottom one always kind of fools you. Nope, that one's glued in. This one shouldn't be. I'm saying shouldn't because besides the screw, I do see a nail. Yep, it's loose. Normally you can push in the hole to release it to where you can get a screwdriver in behind approximately where the nail is and get it to come out. And this has got a high wire on it, so it's a little difficult to get this just right out. There we go. And I'm going to set the screw back in so we know for sure. This one's got kind of odd screws to it. It's got grooves just beyond the head. So what I'm going to have to do, this is going to be a little more difficult, but I'm going to get right up against the plate here with my putty knife, and it does have an edge to it, and so I'm keeping the flat surface against the flat surface, and I'm going to start working it through here and seeing if I can eventually get that off of there. So the box did suffer some damage getting it off of there. I have to glue some of this back on. This here sounds odd. Anyway, that doesn't have a lift wire. The lift wire here is what I call the lift arm, and it actually goes right through the ring right there. So let me go ahead and unscrew the movement. and see what we can come up with here. I'm dealing with the cuckoo bird, wanting to join the party out there, I guess. So there we can tell it's dusty. Running it, it did sound what I'd consider dry. I'm going to go ahead and clean this one. There goes the chain, finished taking it out. Anyway, this says 25, which a 25 is saying it's a 1 day. And this says 84, so this clock was made in 1984. So just to get some of this stuff glued on and clamped, it looks like it only came unglued right here at the roof. I got his arm hooked back up, and I'm going to guess that other, we'll call it bellow wire, it must hook somehow or another in the ring of this, and then it goes up to the bellow also. That's the best I can come up with at the moment, but I'm going to have to play with it to find out for sure. And then in here we have a rubber wheel that goes through and it turns the water wheel, and so the chain coming back down will have to go down onto that in order to get it to turn. And I don't think it has friction turning this, so I'm going to have to see if I need to just clean that up or what I need to do to get the friction off of that so it'll spin nicely. So let's go ahead and release the bird. Just remember, when you go to screw them back on, you snug it. You don't do it real tight, because this is just thin metal that's threaded on with or whatever, and that screw can rip out the threads of this, and this is not going to fall off just snugging it up. And we're going to take the wire off that holds the pendulum. You just put a little screwdriver in where it hooks to the swing, crack it open a little bit enough to get out of that wire, and pull it through this way. And let's see, we're going to go ahead and take off the arm that goes over to the music box. This here wire on it would be the one that stops the fan or the governor on the music box. So in other words, when this one triggers the music box by pushing down on the lever of the music box, the fan will want to spin, and this here is to move in the way of the fan, so that way when the music box is triggered, this will hold the fan as this clock is cuckooing. This will be bouncing a little bit, but still should be holding the fan, and then once it's done cuckooing, this drops out of the way, and then the music box can go until it has the arm that will hold it from continuously playing. Now, just to let you know, I did take pictures of this, so that way I have a better understanding, or even you would have a better understanding of where these gears go, where the parts go, that kind of stuff. So in other words, we got a picture of this side, we've got a picture of this side, with this pointing down, because you can set this into a dessert cup, your coffee cup that you don't drink out of or whatever, to hold this in place so that's not being pushed on. So when you do take this plate off, everything doesn't pop out of there. So you get pictures of which way or which of the winders go where, because this winder has that plastic gear on it, for example. And also so you get it in the right way. Get a picture of this part, or you can get pictures all the way around, but this especially, if you haven't worked on these, to understand, take a couple of pictures, several pictures save you. But this here's the lock system, and you got to get these in the right way, and also the bird lever here has to be behind this post. Get pictures, got your governor there for the bird, so get your everything in here. And what we're planning on doing is, when we actually take this totally apart, I'm going to try to take the plate off so you can see where each of the gears are setting, because sometimes when you're looking through here, it looks easy enough that you can get those in there, but how nice would that be if you could look down on it while you're putting it together and see better which gear goes where. Let's take this star wheel off that is so nice to have the screw on here. This will be your adjustment to get your Cuckoo right, and of course your hammer there. Now all the wires want to get into the action. Let's take this off. We need to untie the spring wire and untie. It's not a knot, it's wrapped around, bent over itself. And it comes through this hole. And now it's released. And to get this off, now you just turn it so you unlock it. And you'll see the smaller wire is the lock that holds it in the frame. The longer wire is the one that hits that star wheel to activate this. And these are going to be taken off in order, and then when you put it back together, you do it backwards so they're not hitting each other. You can get them out. Again, this one comes around. It's got the little locker on there. Each of these has got the locker. This one I don't think I can get out. One coming this way, it's hitting the bolt. Coming this way, it hits everything else. So you might have to pay attention when you're putting this together. Get this one in before you put the plate on. So those are, like I say, special notes you need to pay attention to. So we'll say this side apart as much as we can. Now let's come over here. Let's get the Cuckoo bird post off. And the wire was just brought over, hung up onto the frame. Now to get these off, you put a smaller screwdriver in here and pry them a little bit. Don't get carried away, because you can break these. You break these, I don't know what you're going to do. So See, this one's already popped out of there. And to get them out the rest of the way, even if this one wasn't, you bring the screwdriver up against that post, and then you just turn it. And there it's off. Now on this one, it's got itty bitty E-clips. I'm going to turn this around so I can get to this one. So it's going to take an itty bitty screwdriver to get in there to get them off. You got to be able to see it. It's hard for me to see this thing. It's so small. Usually it's got a divot, we'll say, or whatever you want to call it, so you can get the screwdriver in there. That itty bitty thing right there. And of course this washer here, that's what holds the gear on and holds the snail to this clock. And this is the snail I'm talking about. It holds this gear on and this one, because it's got this here snail's got this gear down here, so that keeps it from coming up and losing track of everything. This here rack, when the 2-star, which is down on the bottom of this shaft here, when it triggers this thing on the half hour of the hour, usually the half hour part of the star, it's hard to see, but it's not as tall as the other side, and that tells the clock it's only a half hour to only lift up so far, and that way this doesn't drop very far down. On the hour, it lifts a little bit taller and causes this to move out of the way, we'll say. Let me move this a little bit more. So let's see if it'll fall. See, when this lifts up, this is supposed to fall. Oh, I see. It won't fall because that's in the way. And usually this is down into what we'll call the mouth. Right there. That's in the rest position or the stop position. And when you turn the hands, see, it just cocked for the half hour, so it only came up into one notch. Now that'll go around and cuckoo once, and then that's it. Now let's bring this so if I was holding the clock straight, it would have dropped that far. This here drops down here, which this would be 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. So that's 8 o'clock. So it drops onto here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think I'm off a little bit. And keep your fingers off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So anyway, let's go ahead and try to get this one off. That one come off a little quicker. So now we can take the snail out. sometimes you got to take both of them out together. Take this wheel off. So these two levers here, you notice this one dives in. Right now there's a warning pin right in here, and it is stopped right now because the clock is done cuckooing, and so once that drops beyond, it's able to drop down far enough to get that warning pin to stop. There's this lever here, right behind here, it goes in, so when the clock is coming up to warning, as in just about ready to strike, when this one drops, it'll drop and hold the pin again until it's time to cuckoo or whatever. And the 2-point star here is the one that tells the clock, okay, now it's time to cuckoo. Okay, it's time to cuckoo. So as that turns, this here will be riding along here until it drops. Ride along here till it drops, like it did here where it dropped. So anyway, we have this spring. Not all clocks have this, but this here spring helps push this down. Sometimes it needs that extra help. You just lift that off of there, lift it above all this, keep swinging it around, and it'll come off the frame, and you can get it out of there. So, holding this one in, I see we have an E-clip right down here. Man, they're using small ones, is all I gotta say. And for this one, they have the E-clip right there also. So it relieves this one. Oh, there we go. This here and this here are the ones that will go in and stop that warning pin. And this one here actually hits it too. Anytime it goes in, a lever goes in, more than likely it's going in for the warning pin. They don't do it for the fun of it. And you notice the order I took these out. This one was the last one to come out. If you put this one in second, this one might not go underneath the levers and go inside. So kind of pay attention to how you got them off so you can get them back in again the same way. Or in reverse order, I should say. So this is looking pretty clean on this side. Lots of plastic I see in there for gears. So what I'm going to do now is put my fancy feet on, which I work on enough clocks it was worth it for me to get these. For you, get your dessert dish, not your favorite coffee cup, but your cup that you can set this movement on. So we're ready to take this apart, and what you do after you get the 4 nuts off, work it up a little bit here, and depending how dirty your movement is, you might have to push on the gears to hold them down. Now what I'm going to do for this one is I'm actually going to lift this side up first. I'm going to try to get this out. It's not a heart attack, but it makes it easier if you're trying to do something special, such as take pictures or whatever. So I got that freed. Just need to get it out of there. It's got a little bit, besides the dust, just a touch of rust on there. But we're cleaning it, so it don't matter. So we get that off. I'm going to lift this up and see if I can pop this out of here. Going this way. Yep. So that way it's not hanging up on me. And there again you see the short wire that locks it in. And of course this is the one that operates the bellow. So you can see it's a little dingy. More than likely this has got the lacquer finish on it, and so I'm going to be kind of careful when I clean this. But if it comes off, that doesn't make any difference to me, because then I'll go ahead and shine this up using this, which will really make it look good. And as if some of this started coming off, I'd make sure to soak it in the cleaner a lot longer to help get that stuff off of there, because you want it all off if it happens to start coming off, so have an even look, and so you don't have to work as hard with this. And of course after I use that, I use this to wax it, and this will give a nice polish, and it seals the plate with a hard wax finish. Stuff isn't cheap, but it depends on what you're looking for when it comes to this kind of stuff. I'm going to see if I can do this again. So anyway, now that we got this far, now you can get your picture while everything's into place, and don't just take one picture. Turn it around and take a look at this thing. So that way you can for sure see what that gear looks like, such as this has got a nice tall gear here to reach that one. There's other ones that are tall too, but they are different sizes. This is a large one. This one in here is a smaller diameter one. This one here, if you were to take it out, and if you could take it out and turn it, you would see it's got that long gear part on there too. Now, there's two of them that I don't take out, and that's the one that holds the hands and the one that has the Pac-Man, which is down below this, because the Pac-Man does come off. It's, we'll call it pressure fitted on there, and you have to push it back on. And I've worked on some of these where it's been on and off maybe so many times that they had to actually glue it into place. So that's why I don't worry so much about taking them off. Anyway, let me get my picture and we'll take a look at taking this apart. So this is the top of the movement, and as far as I know, every time the top of the movement is where your fan or governor is going to be. You check this out, it's nice and stiff. If you could blow on this and spin around, that tells you it's needing tightened up on both these ends here. You just bend it just a little bit. Make sure you got that centerpiece in there. There's nothing much you can do with that centerpiece, but that's what holds this thing together. Because if this wasn't tight enough, your Cuckoo might sound like a woodpecker. Anyway, in the book they tell you, such as this one, it's got two trains. The one train with the governor on it would be your Cuckoo bird. The other train would be your time. And so they just pretty much line up, or one half of the movement is one, the other half is the other. And there's some of them that actually have the music box gears in here, which would be your third train that operates the actual music instead of the trigger system they have here. So the time side, that seems to work pretty good. Good to test it while as you're taking it out. Like I say, these don't look bad, but I could tell by listening to it. If I really wanted to, I probably could have just oiled this and it would have worked just fine, but that's not what I wanted to do. So here we have the other winder over on the Cuckoo bird side. It works quite well. This here won't come out because that's part of the Pac-Man on there. We have this here is part of holding the Cuckoo bird, and you notice that rod there was down inside here to lock the Cuckoo bird into place. And this here has that divot. That's because it has to go around this gear in order to work. There's a warning pin for the Cuckoo bird. Now to get the rest of this out, it has another itty bitty E-clip there that we need to pull out of there. And then you'll lift and wiggle this out. And the reason why you're wiggling it is because this here has the triggers on it to get the clock to stop and whatnot. You got to pay attention to that. And one of those triggers is here to catch the bird to make them either release or not release. So take these off and I'll show you again why this gear is not coming out. So there's the gear, and there's the Pac-Man that I don't want to deal with taken off just in case. And the way to get that off, my understanding is, which I've used this to adjust it sometimes if I didn't want to take it apart and move the gears around in order to get the peg to fit just right. But you'd hold the gears and then you would turn this a little bit in order to get it in time if it's really close. Otherwise, that there's ready. You got this spring inside here. That there, I don't quite understand how it works, but it's pushing down on this gear here, and it's to keep your hands on this newer movement from flying around willy-nilly. Other ones, where the winder is, just above the winder on the plate itself, there will be a pressure washer on there, which is 3 or sometimes 4 fingers that go up and hit the black gear. This here actually would sit there, but usually it's over here where the winder is, and it sits in there and pushes up on here, and if it doesn't have enough pressure on here, then your hands more than likely won't even turn turn as in the clock turning it, or they'll just turn around willy-nilly. You'd have it over on the minute hand on the 1 and it'll just slide down to the 6. So anyway, let me get these things cleaned up in my ultrasonic cleaner. And you don't need one of those. That's just to speed up my job. You can use a bowl with the cleaner in it and soak it a while on the plates here. Like I say, maybe 5 minutes max. Take a look and see how clean they came. These, I'm lucky, aren't that dirty, so it's not going to take much. And that's just to help clean out the holes, but still you're going to have to run a toothpick in the holes. And so we'll get those clean, and then I'll use a toothbrush and Dawn dish soap to scrub them up a little bit better before I actually run a toothpick through each one of them holes. And each one of these gears in here are going to get the same treatment. They'll all get scrubbed once I run it through the cleaner with Dawn dish soap. So you can see the color of this is gold, but it's not what I consider brass. It's kind of nasty. So what I plan on doing is, this here is a polish. I'm going to try this first to see if I can get this to brighten up. Otherwise, I'll go ahead and go to something stronger. And there's a chance I might just strip this finish off, because like I say, I don't like the looks of that.